Hi, friends. My name is Shameflicity, and welcome to my Tokyo Ghoul Dead by Daylight chapter concept. This is my fourth concept, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I've done a Slenderman concept, a Babadook concept, a Billie Eilish Survivor concept, and now this one. I'm doing this one primarily because it's all but confirmed that tomorrow, as of when this is posted, on the 11th, um, we should be getting a new PTB, and it should be Tokyo Ghoul, based off of everything that's been revealed, leaked, rumored, X, Y, and Z. So, I figured a little while ago, like a month ago, I was like, I should do a concept on Tokyo Ghoul. So here we are. This is only, I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. This is only going to be Ken, Kaneki. I am a Tokyo Ghoul fan. I'm not like a diehard fan, so this isn't like the absolute most in-depth concept you'll see out there. But I've done everything for a killer. I haven't done anything for a survivor. Well, everything. I've done iridescent add-ons. I haven't done all the other add-ons, but power, perks, um, Mori, iridescent add-ons, and some cosmetics ideas. So that's what we've got. I made this thumbnail. You are not welcome to use it for anything. Just gonna put that out there. And I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Anyway, so chapter title: Tokyo Ghoul. New killer, Ken Kaneki, or aka the Ghoul, because what else would he be called? Let's be real. Let's dive right in. So, new killer, the Ghoul. Attributes: movement speed 4.6 meters per second, terror radius 32 meters, and height tall. Technically, he would be just average, actually, but he has an aspect of his power that makes him tall. Killer summary, and we'll get to that. Difficulty hard. Tragically starving, the Ghoul is forever bound to an eternity of extending suffering with a never satisfied appetite. His personal perks: Dove, Incubation, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Augury, I think is how you say it, allow him to track survivors when traversing a great height, suppress his presence through vault locations, and deny survivors' attempts at sabotage. So we're going to do the power first, and then we'll get into the perks right after. Alright, so the power's name, loved this for myself, Unraveling Kagune. Again, I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, sue me. Anyway, so love that. Unravel, of course, the reference. Hear that playing in the background? Anyway, never trust anyone too much. Remember, the devil was once an angel. Ken Kaneki. Using his Kagune, the Ghoul traverses the map in unprecedented ways, with elevated mobility and increased speed. The Ghoul has two modes, Kagune mode and Kakuja mode. Let's get right into it. So, special ability, Ghoulish Traversal. In either mode, and this is probably like the main unique thing that I love about his power, so I was happy about this. In either mode, while looking directly at an upper level window, ledge, or gap in a ceiling, the Ghoul can press and hold the secondary ability button to extend his Kagune upwards, latching onto the surface, and propelling himself to that position over 3.5 seconds while in Kagune mode and 2 seconds while in Kakuja mode. Doing so, oops, so that should say Kagune, not basic. My bad, don't sue me. Doing so in Kagune mode immediately puts Ghoulish Grapple on cooldown. Oh, yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to Ghoulish Grapple in a second. Sorry, my bad. I'm so tired, but that is intentional. Ghoulish Traversal has a 30-second cooldown. So we'll get to Ghoulish Grapple in a minute. This was supposed to say Kagune mode, not basic. My bad. Also, I just want to say this really quick, just to get this out of the way. I am aware of a lot of the rumors because there's been some rumors about what his power is, and there was some information circulating in the leaking community that he would have he would be able to traverse the map quickly at like a heightened elevated height, and he would be able to like grab onto survivors somehow. So I did use those in my version of his power as well. But let's move on to Kagune mode. The Ghoul begins each trial in Kagune mode and can transition into Kakuja mode when the power gauge is not on cooldown. So think this is kind of like Chucky a little bit, how he can go into his hidey-ho mode when it's not on cooldown, you know? In Kagune mode, the Ghoul moves at 4.6 meters per second, so just standard movement speed, and has access to his special ability, Ghoulish Grapple. So in his basic mode, Kagune mode, when he starts the trial, he has access to this ability, Ghoulish Grapple. While in Kagune mode, and by pressing the secondary ability button, and by pressing it while not looking at like a ledge or something to be able to traverse the map, because that was something pretty cool, I think, about the Ghoulish Traversal. And I should clarify before I move on. So imagine like you're on Haddonfield, right? And you're playing as the ghoul, and you've got a house. And you know how there's some second floor windows? The ghoul from the outside of that house could look up at that window, press and hold the secondary ability button, and actually traverse up to that window and go into the house that way. Another example of where he could use this would be on the game, the Gideon meatpacking plant. He could be on the lower floor, and you know how there's different holes in the ceiling, right? Going up to the main floor. He could go up through one of those holes with this ability, which is pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, Ghoulish Grapple. This is an ability he only has access to in Kagune mode. He does not have access to this in Kakuja mode, and we'll get to that mode in a minute. While in Kagune mode, and by pressing the secondary ability button, while not looking at like a hole in the ceiling or a window, by the way, the ghoul can take half a second to launch one tentacle, or 2 seconds to launch 2 of his 4 Kagune tentacles at survivors within a 10-meter difference. I'm just going to kind of read through this and then I'll explain it after if there's any confusion. If a tentacle makes contact with a survivor, that survivor is grabbed or grappled and hindered by 2% until freed. Within a 2-second window after making contact, the ghoul can launch an additional 1 or 2 tentacles, sorry, my brain. Successfully restricting a survivor with 3 tentacles will injure the survivor. Successfully restricting a survivor with all 4 tentacles will inflict the deep wound and broken status effects on the survivor for 45 seconds. For every tentacle restricting a survivor, they are hindered by an additional 1%. The restricted survivor will be able to hit consecutive skill checks in an attempt to free themselves. Hitting 4 successful skill checks in a row will allow them to free themselves. Making more than 10 meters of distance while restricted will also free the survivor. Not launching an additional tentacle after at least one has made contact with the survivor will allow the survivor to free themselves, staggering the ghoul for 2 seconds. Ghoulish Grapple has a 15-second cooldown. So, this, I tried to word it as basically as I could. It's not fully, it's probably not as fleshed out as it could be. But the idea is the ghoul is a basic, he's running at normal speed. And he can send out a tentacle or 2. To send out 1, he just presses the secondary ability button, and to send 2, he has to hold the secondary ability button. And if a tentacle makes contact, so it's within 10 meters, and it's pretty fast. Think like, maybe not quite as fast as like a Deathslinger shot, like slower than that, maybe like half the speed, so still pretty damn fast. And if it makes contact with the survivor, it'll wrap around that survivor, and that survivor can still run, but they're slowed down by 2% at first if they're made contact by any tentacles, and then an additional 1% for any additional tentacles. If the ghoul gets 3 tentacles on the survivor, they're going to be injured. But let's say that you send out 1 tentacle, it gets the survivor, then you send out another one, grabs the survivor, and instead of sending out a 3rd one, you hold the secondary ability button right after that to send out 2 more, so that's 4 in total. If you do that, then all 4 will grab the survivor, they'll be injured, broken, and have deep wound as well for a short time. And so the only way to do 4 tentacles as opposed to 3 is if after doing 2, you hold the secondary ability button to send 2 more. Because if you do just 1 more and you have 3, they'll just immediately be injured, and you'll let go of them and they'll keep running. And then again, survivors, the moment they are grabbed by one of the tentacles, skill checks will start appearing. It's not as fast. It's like still individual skill checks. So a skill check will come up, you gotta hit it, then another one will come up. It's not like it's continually going in a skill check circle like Merciless Storm, for example. It's not like that perk where you're just constantly hitting skill checks like that, because that's pretty damn fast, and that would be difficult to do in Chase. So it's just if they can get And maybe 4 skill checks is too much because that's what I wrote here. Maybe it should be 3. Maybe it should be 2. I'm not really sure. But just that was my thought, was 4 consecutive skill checks. If they can get all 4 of them in a row before they're injured, then they'll be let go of. So I haven't thought through literally all of the details of how far he should be able to send one and how long the survivor should be grappled. This is kind of just the basic idea. I thought it was unique. I thought it was fresh. So yeah, there's Ghoulish Grapple. Kakuja mode. When the power gauge is not on cooldown, the ghoul can enter Kakuja mode for 45 seconds by pressing the ability button. While in this mode, the ghoul traverses on his Kagune with an increased movement speed of 5 meters per second, as opposed to 4.6, and increased elevation to become taller, being able to see over most eye-level obstacles. Additionally, the ghoul can traverse over downed pallets and through vault locations with no movement speed penalty. Lastly, the ghoul's basic attack lunge distance is increased by 50%. So, in this mode, he's moving roughly at the speed that like Dracula moves when he's in bat form, roughly. And he's at the height of, like, think when Vecna is flying. That's kind of the height that he's at. And he doesn't have any special attacks in this mode. He can't use the Ghoulish Grapple, but he can go right over pallets and right through windows, and he just has a normal basic attack, but the distance of it is extended by 50%. So tying this with coup de grace would be really strong. Or even All Shaking Thunder, for example, one of the new Mountain Master perks. That would also be a great perk to tie with this. So it's simple, but I think it's pretty damn strong, honestly. And I love that for me. So that's the Ghoul's power. Let me know in the comments if like what you would change, what you would add. I don't think it's necessarily like the best power in terms of staying true to where I'm getting it from. You know, the manga and the show, which I've seen and read the majority of. Um, I've seen all of it. I didn't read the entire manga, but I read most of it. Anyway, so that's the power. Hopefully, I like it. I think it's cool. Let's go into the Mori. I thought the Mori was pretty cool. The ghoul's Mori. Standing over the downed survivor, the ghoul gives a strained chuckle as he pierces 2 tentacles through the survivor's back, lifting them into the air to face him. Then, with his other 2 tentacles, rips off the survivor's arms. I was like, let's make this one brutal, because why not? Tossing them to the side. Next, like the arms to the side. Next, he brings the survivor close, like face to face, staring them down face to face while cracking his fingers for a second or two, because iconic. Finally, he lifts the survivor into the air directly above his head, ripping them in half, fully. As their innards fall, like right above him, he catches some of them, devouring them with a final tragic laugh. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Pretty brutal, which Tokyo Ghoul isn't the most brutal out there, but it's got some brutal moments, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I've just got the Iridescent Add-ons. First one, Iridescent Coffee Cup. Fond memories only served as a cruel reminder of the life he once had. Successfully restricting a survivor with 2 tentacles will inflict the exposed status effect for 10 seconds. So, this, remember, if they get attached by 3 or restricted by 3 tentacles, they get injured. So if the ghoul goes for 2 tentacles, whether charging both of them at the start or doing one and then the other, he can just not send a third one, in which case the survivor would be freed and the ghoul would stagger for a second, but then they would be exposed for 10 seconds. Maybe that should be a little longer, I'm not sure. It'd be hard to fully tell without testing it. But this way, it could be, especially in a dead zone, this could be a great way to get a really fast down with this Iridescent add-on. One-Eyed Ghoul's Mask. His identity was forever tied to his mask the moment the fog embraced him. Traversing through any vault location while in Kakuja mode, window or pallet, will prompt the entity to block that vault location for 15 seconds. So this is very similar. I forget which add-on it is, but it's very similar to the add-on that Dracula has when he's in bat mode and he teleports to a window, and that vault location will be blocked for a little while. Same thing. And this might be a little too strong, maybe, just because Kakuja mode lasts for 45 seconds, if I remember correctly. And so that during that whole time, just going through a window or a pallet will block it. Now, I didn't specify this. For a pallet, it would... Hard to say. I was gonna say maybe it would break that palette, but I'm not sure I like that. I feel like that would be too strong, like breaking palettes and blocking windows. So it would block windows and palettes. I don't think we have anything that directly blocks down palettes, but I think this would be kind of cool to do. So once again, I think this is a very strong iridescent add-on. Maybe it's too strong. Maybe this should be 10 seconds. I don't know. Maybe 15 seconds is fine for the window to be blocked. So let me know what you think of these, but I thought they were strong, and I think iridescent add-ons should be strong, in my opinion. So let me know what you think of these. Now let's get into the perks. Very excited about this. First perk, Dove. You've been tracked before, but now it's your turn to do the hunting. After traversing a great height by any means, survivors' auras within 24 meters are revealed to you, and you gain 5% haste for 20 seconds. This perk then goes on cooldown for 45 seconds. And then the quote at the end by, I'm going to say his first name wrong, but Kisho Arima? Defeat, huh? 18 years. 18 years have I been an investigator, and yet this is the first time I am faced with an opponent against whom I have no course of action. And this is something he says in the third season, which was Buns, but the quote was good anyway. So yeah, for this perk for Dove, I said traversing a great height by any means because the Ghoul is the first killer that can actually traverse a great height the other direction. Starting on the ground and going up rather than falling. So if a killer falls from a second story, whatever, to a first story, then they would get access to this perk. But the Ghoul is unique in the well, actually, I'm just now realizing there actually are a few other killers that would still get value out of this perk by going from a lower level to an upper level, like the Nurse, which would be busted to be so real. So maybe this is too strong for that reason. Because aura and haste on the Nurse is ridiculous. But even like Dracula in that form, he could teleport to an upper level window or palette, and then he would get value out of this. So there's a few killers that could get value out of this, and maybe because of that, it should be maybe instead of like 24 meters, it could be like 15 meters or something. I'm thinking this might be a little strong, as I'm talking about it now. I still like the idea though, and I think it's cool. So maybe it's a little too strong, or maybe it's just the cooldown should be higher. Let me know what you think. But yeah, there's Dove. Next perk, Incubation. Oh, and by the way, Incubation is the name of the second episode of the first season. So, fun fact. They may never be prepared for your inevitable range. English. They may never be prepared for your inevitable rage and lonely bloodlust. Passing through any vault location by any means grants you the undetectable status effect for 30 seconds. This perk then goes on cooldown for 45 seconds. I, who am neither human nor ghoul, am all alone. There isn't a place for me anywhere now. Ken Kaneki. And this is something he says in this episode when he's really realizing kind of what he's in for. I mean, not fully, but it's just kind of this self-realization moment and moment of despair in a way. So this is a pretty simple perk. Another vault perk, but it gives you undetectable, which I think is fun. So I don't think it's too strong. I feel like 30 seconds is good. Like you can get value out of that, but it's not too weak and not too strong either. But again, let me know how y'all would change this. Maybe the cooldown should be longer or shorter. I don't know, but let me know. So yeah, I thought this was good. It's simple, but good. And last perk, Aogiri, or Aogiri, however the hell you say it. Anyway, you have been taught by many how to secure your food despite their resistance. When picking up a survivor, all hooks within 24 meters of you are blocked by the entity for 20 seconds, rendering them unable to be sabotaged by other survivors. If one of the blocked hooks is a scourge hook, and the carried survivor is hooked on that hook during the 20-second time frame, the Scourge Hook's effects will be increased by either 2% or 2 seconds, whichever may be applicable. And then the quote, "My last work is for my solitary brethren. I wrote it for the ones who were born wrong into this world and crave flesh and blood like myself." Eto Yoshimura. And she is the founder of the Aogiri group. So I thought quoting something from her would be fitting. And so for this one, Once again, this is one of those perks where it's pretty new, like it's a new idea. We don't have anything quite like it in the game. And for that reason, it's unclear like where it would fall on a tier list. Like I don't anticipate that it's too crazy strong. I mean, from what I can tell, it more or less would shut down Swifts that are going for sabotage saves. I mean, it wouldn't do anything about flashlight saves, obviously. Um, and then this last portion about increasing a Scourge Hook's like lethality. So take Pain Resonance, right? If I'm not mistaken, as of recording this video, I think it's a 20% takeoff of progress when you hook a survivor on a Scourge Hook with Pain Res. I think it's 20, unless it's like 25 or something, I can't remember. But this would just add 2% to that. So instead of 20%, it would be 22%. And then in terms of the seconds, take Floods of Rage. I'm pretty sure it reveals survivors for 7 seconds, so this would add 2 seconds to that, so 9 seconds. And if you had Lethal Pursuer, that would be another 2 seconds, so that could be 11 seconds, which would be pretty cool. If that was the time frame. Maybe it was, I can't remember how long, but you get the idea. So, once again, this is one of those perks where I don't really know how viable it would be, unless it could be really tested. But yeah, those are the 3 perks I've got for the Ghoul. Dove, Incubation, and Augury. And I just want to say this right now, I don't, as you can tell, I don't have any designs, and I haven't for any of my previous killer perk or chapter concepts, but I actually do plan on making a video basically just covering perk icons and a few other things like that for all of the killers that I've done so far. And maybe some of the survivors too, we'll see. But I might make it like an individual video for that, because I just didn't have time for this one. But yeah, so now last thing, let's go over cosmetics and then we'll be done. So this would be kind of like the base appearance, like just what he comes into the game with, I think, is my thought. So yeah, I thought that was good. But some of the fits I thought would be cool. So this one, I'm just calling it the Tortured Ghoul outfit. This is obviously when he is tortured horrifically, and he's got the chains and everything, and I thought this would be a cool fit. The next one is one that I don't actually remember if it's like fully canon. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. If it's not, sue me. Correct me in the comments. But I think a One-Eyed King outfit would be really, really cool. Something like this. And this design, I tried to look into it. I couldn't tell if it was fan-made or if this was official. So I might be going crazy, and if it's fan-made, credit to the artist, and credit to all these artists. I apologize, I couldn't find who it was. But something like this I think would be so dope. Like, I would be all over it. And then last but most certainly not least, Miss Kamishiro. I mean, come on. Having a legendary cosmetic for her is only fitting. And there's rumors that there will be one for her, which doesn't surprise me at all. So those are the cosmetics that I think would be the coolest. Or at least that I'd love to see. I'm sure there's other options, but at least those 3 I think would be sick. So anyway, with all of that in mind, that is my Tokyo Ghoul Dead by Daylight chapter concept. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the power, the perks, Mori, everything. And let me know what other concepts you'd like to see me do. I would love, love, love recommendations. I mean, there's so many different IPs out there to do concepts on. And the main reason I did this one was just because, as I said, this one is all but confirmed to be the killer that's coming out tomorrow. Because this should be going out on the 10th of March, if I'm not mistaken. And the killer should be coming out the next day. So very, very exciting stuff. And I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, feel free to share this with people. Let them know, you know what I mean? Because I'm kind of a small YouTuber and I don't have much of an audience. So thank you so much for all of your support. Check out my other concepts. I will try and link a few of them here. And thank you again so much for watching. Remember, have courage and be kind. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.